The Bhagavad Gita, a timeless dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna, unfolds on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Two massive armies representing opposing ideals stand poised for a catastrophic war. On one side stand the Kauravas, driven by greed and lust for power, willing to destroy their own kin for the sake of a kingdom. On the other side are the Pandavas, righteous warriors fighting for justice and their rightful place. The stage is set for a battle that will determine the fate of a nation. It is in this crucible of conflict that Arjuna, the greatest warrior of his time, faces a profound moral crisis. His charioteer, the divine Krishna, becomes his guide and teacher. Krishna's words, filled with wisdom and compassion, form the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. This ancient text, a dialogue within a larger epic, holds timeless relevance. It speaks to the struggles within our own hearts. The Battle of Kurukshetra becomes a metaphor for the inner conflicts we all face. As the conch shells announce the start of the battle, Arjuna surveys the battlefield. He sees his beloved teacher, his grandfather, his cousins and friends arrayed against him. His heart sinks, filled with despair at the thought of the bloodshed to come. Arjuna throws down his bow and arrows, overwhelmed by grief and doubt. "Krishna!" he cries, "I cannot fight. How can I kill my own kin, my elders and my teachers? What good can come from such carnage?" His voice trembles with anguish as he questions the very purpose of war. Arjuna's dilemma is not merely a personal crisis, it reflects a universal human struggle. He grapples with the agonizing choice between duty and compassion, between fulfilling his dharma as a warrior and succumbing to his emotions. It is at this pivotal moment, when Arjuna is lost in despair, that Krishna begins to unveil the profound wisdom of the Gita. Krishna, with infinite patience and understanding, guides Arjuna out of his despair. He begins by explaining the fundamental principles of Sankhya philosophy. "Arjuna," he says, "you grieve for those who are not worthy of grief. The wise mourn neither for the living nor for the dead, for the soul is eternal, indestructible, and cannot be harmed." Krishna reveals the eternal nature of the soul, or Atman, which is distinct from the physical body. Just as a person discards old clothes and puts on new ones, the soul casts off the worn-out body and takes on a new one. Death is not the end, but a transition, a passage to a new beginning. Weapons cannot cut the soul, fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it, nor can the wind dry it, Krishna explains. Understanding this fundamental truth, the impermanence of the body and the eternity of the soul, is the key to overcoming grief and fear. Dharma, the compass of right action. Krishna then emphasizes the importance of dharma, the principle of righteousness that governs human life. It is better to perform one's own duty, however imperfectly, than to master the duty of another, he counsels. Each individual has a unique role to play in the grand scheme of things. Arjuna's dharma as a warrior is to uphold justice and fight against adharma, even if it means confronting his own kin. Fulfilling one's dharma is not a matter of personal preference, but a sacred duty, a way to align oneself with the cosmic order. Krishna emphasizes that action without attachment to the fruits of action is the key to liberation. By performing our duties with detachment and dedication, we free ourselves from the cycle of karma and attain true freedom. Karma Yoga, the path of selfless service. Expanding on the concept of dharma, Krishna introduces the path of Karma Yoga, the yoga of action. He explains that selfless action, performed without desire for personal gain, is the highest form of worship. Perform your duty, for action is better than inaction, he advises. Krishna emphasizes that attachment to the fruits of our actions binds us to the cycle of birth and death. When we act out of desire for rewards or recognition, we create karma that keeps us trapped in the cycle of suffering. But when we act with detachment, offering the fruits of our actions to the divine, we purify our hearts and attain true liberation. Karma Yoga is not about renouncing action, but about transforming our attitude towards action. It teaches us to act with awareness, dedication, and a spirit of selfless service. Sata, the steady mind portrait of an enlightened being. Throughout the second chapter, Krishna describes the qualities of a sthita prajna, a person of steady wisdom who has attained enlightenment. Such a person, he explains, remains unmoved by the pairs of opposites like pleasure and pain, success and failure, praise and blame. He who is the same in pleasure and pain, who is the same in honor and dishonor, Who is the same to friend and foe? Who is the same in cold and heat? Who is the same in censure and praise? And who is silent, content with anything, homeless, steady in mind and full of devotion? That man is dear to me, says Krishna. The enlightened being is free from attachment, fear and anger. Having realized the true nature of the self, such a person lives in a state of constant peace and equanimity, radiating love and compassion to all beings. Echoes of ancient wisdom, the Gita's relevance in modern times. The teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, particularly the profound wisdom imparted in Chapter 2, resonate deeply in our modern world. We face similar dilemmas as Arjuna, torn between our desires and duties, our aspirations and our responsibilities. The Gita reminds us of the importance of living a life guided by Dharma, making choices aligned with our values and principles. It teaches us to act with detachment, offering the fruits of our actions to a higher purpose. In a world consumed by materialism and the pursuit of external success, the Gita's emphasis on inner peace and self-realization offers a refreshing perspective. It reminds us that true happiness lies not in acquiring possessions, but in cultivating inner contentment and wisdom. The timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita continues to inspire and guide us on our journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth.